I don't know who needs to hear this, but the rejection is a setup. The rejection that you had, that, so for example, you were dating a man, you were dating a woman, you had got a job, you had did something really great, right? You thought it was going great, but then you were rejected. You had a spirit of rejection that fell on you. Beloved, that was a setup from the devil. The rejection was always going to happen, like the devil had set up to where the rejection was going to happen. So what he does is the devil will put you up real high and then make you fall, okay? He even did that in the Garden of Gethsemane, okay, with Jesus, okay? He had put Jesus up real high. And he said, "Here, I'll give you all of this if you only bow down to me," okay? And so once you bow down to that person, to that woman, to that man, and to that job, this is by way of sin, okay? Whenever you bow down, it means that you had chose to sin in order to keep that thing, okay? So you were put up real high, beloved, okay? You were put up real high, and now you're with this man, you're with this woman, you have this job, you have great things going for you, but the sin was that on Sunday you had worked instead of having Sabbath day. The sin was is that you had sex with them out of wedlock. The sin was is that in order to keep that friendship is that you had to gossip. The sin was whatever it was, but it had gave the enemy access to you, okay? He said that I'll put you up this high. All you have to do is bow down to me, okay? So whenever you sin, you bow down to the devil, okay? So, beloved, whenever that happened, the rejection. So now, whenever that happens, now he's going to throw you down, okay? He's going to throw you down, and then now you have this rejection, okay? So then there is another thing coming after that. The rejection is simply just a setup, okay? The rejection is a setup to make sure that you are insecure, to make sure that you are desperate, and that you are looking to be up, to have that mountaintop feeling again, to get that high again, okay? Whenever you had did that drug, you had bowed down to another god. He said bow down to no other god. And so whenever you had did that drug, and whenever you made it your god, as soon as the high had came down, you were fell down, and now you are rejected. You are now locked out of heaven, out of the fake heaven, out of the brass heaven that you were in. Beloved, the rejection is a setup for the enemy to come and bring the one who's going to actually destroy you. The rejection is a set up to where now you are desperate, to now you feel insecure, to now you don't feel good about yourself, and you're looking for the next tidbit of something, so that way you could get that feeling again, so they can get that mountaintop feeling again, beloved. And so whenever that happens, okay, you are going to accept, because you have been befuddled, okay, you have been bewitched, okay, you have been, you don't even see yourself clearly because you have been rejected, so you can't even see your God-given identity anymore, okay, because you're looking for that fake mountaintop feeling, okay? So now you're going out, and there's going to be someone that's going to come to you. They're going to be right around the corner, and they're coming for you. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be a job. It's going to be it's going to be a new drug. It's going to be a new person. It's going to be a new friend, whatever it is. And the enemy had sent them there on purpose in that season for a particular reason. You feel me? And so whenever that happens, I call this a demonic executioner, okay? A demonic executioner, okay? So now we could talk about men. We could talk about, okay, so for example, I was dating this guy, okay? Not really dating him, but he was such a cool dude, right? And I'm like, well, why would you ever want to talk to me? Okay? Well, it turns out he actually had a girlfriend. So now I felt rejected, okay? But I had already gave my coochie away to this man, okay? So I had this mountaintop feeling of dating this really cool guy, but then he had dropped me whenever he told me that he had a girlfriend. It's not that serious. He don't feel me like that, you know? And so what I did was, in response, because I felt rejected, is I had went to go date another guy, okay? Because it says, oh, well, what the world says is that once one man, don't accept you, just hop onto another one. That's what you do. You just hop onto another one. But the devil knows that. He knows the cycle. So the first one is not really the key. The second one is the key. Okay, this is what I call a demonic executioner. Okay, this is a demonic executioner. Same thing when it comes to drug use. Okay, so I was smoking weed. All right. So quote unquote, it's not a bad thing because it's legal or whatever. Okay. So I'm smoking that. But what happens whenever you get that mountaintop feeling, but then you're crashing down? You're getting that mountaintop feeling, but then you're crashing down. Beloved, whenever you're crashing down, you're going to look for something stronger because you need that mountaintop feeling again. Okay. You feel rejected because whenever you're hitting that blunt, you're not getting that same high. You're not getting that same giggle feeling. So you're going to have to go to something stronger. Okay. And so you're worse off than you were before, beloved. because it's the rejection that is going to get you to go a little bit deeper. It's going to get you, because the devil's never really, I'm not ever really happy with you being at the mountaintop. I don't desire that you ever be at the mountaintop. I desire that you burn in hell. So now that whenever the weed is not working, now I'm going to have to go to something stronger, because I'm looking for something. I'm looking for a stronger experience. You feel me? So keep that in mind whenever right now if you have to sin in order to keep it, it's not from God. If you have to sin, if you have to bow down to another God, it's not from God. If you have to rely on something else other than Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, if you have to give a sin, if you have to sin, if you have to gossip, if you have to hate, if you have to lie, if you have to, even whenever it came to the job, even whenever it came to the job, I remember that I was so desperate. I was so desperate to get a job that whenever they called me, they said, "Hey, Brianna, we think you'd be a great coach." Okay, so I had all the other things that I needed in order to be a coach. Okay, to be a coach at this middle school. Okay, but I had to lie about one thing. If it takes you having to lie about even one thing, it's not for you. Do not lie even about one thing. And that was a sin offering that the devil needed in order to attack me. That's access. That gives the enemy access to attack you, okay? Now, the one thing I lied about is whenever they said, "Brianna Gardner, Miss Gardner, we think you'd be a great fit for this job," but you have to have family that you can rely on, because whenever you're a coach, you're going to need help because you have kids and you need somebody to help you with your kids. And I lied and I told them I had family that I could rely on. And it seems very subtle, okay? Again, the lie is a sin. If you have to gossip to be friends with that person, that is a monitoring spirit, and they have that spirit jumping off of them, jumping onto you. It's a monitoring spirit, and you're giving the enemy access, because you know what? We talked about them, now we got to talk about you. Because you know what? You had gave them the right to speak ill of you whenever you decided to make them your friend. Now they're in your inner sanctum, and now they know all your business. And also because you had went out and you gossiped about others, they don't feel bad about gossiping about you. Why would they? You did it. Be careful, because rejection, the enemy will put you up high on a pedestal, on a mountaintop. And he says, all you have to do is just bow down to me. And so then he will cast you down. And he says, oh, God's going to pick you up. God's going to pick you up. But that's not the case, because the wages of sin is death. And that's just law. A lot of times people, they perish because they don't know the law. They don't know that the wages of sin is death. Okay? And so whenever you sin, even in the little ways like lying, the Lord hates liars. That's the thing y'all don't even realize. The Lord, and even whenever y'all are like bowing down to different gods, pretty much whenever I say bow down to a different God, that's where you went for your relief. That's where you put your faith in. That's what you put your faith in. That's bowing down to another God, and that is sin. But you don't see it like that, because you don't see it in that realm. And I'm here to tell you, like, that's actually what it is, beloved. You need to be careful, because the enemy is very divisive. He's very wicked. And he will send somebody after the mountaintop experience. And it is after rejection, of after falling down and hurting yourself, and now you are desperate, and now you are insecure, and now you are weak, and now you're willing to accept whatever's given to you, and now you're even worse than what you started off with, because the devil does not desire that you stay in one place. He desires that you dig in deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole, so that way you could die in. Okay, bye.